Hello and welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into something really fascinating, a very specific, incredibly powerful psychological shift when it comes to our financial stability. Look, we aren't just talking about math or spreadsheets or basic budgeting here. No, we are exploring the hidden internal workings of our minds when we cross a very specific threshold. So get ready, because understanding the psychology behind this milestone, it can completely reframe how you view your own financial journey.
Okay, let's dive into this. There's this exact moment, a moment your mindset fundamentally changes from surviving to thriving. And I want you to just think about the intense emotional weight of those two words for a second. Surviving kind of implies keeping your head just barely above water, right? It's this state of high alert, of constant defensive maneuvering. But thriving? That is growth. That's getting some breathing room. It's finally looking out toward the horizon instead of just staring right at your feet. What we're exploring today is the exact catalyst for that monumental shift.
And what exactly is that catalyst? $10,000. Now, in the grand scheme of global economics or, billionaire net worths, 10 grand might seem pretty small to some or obviously massive to others. But in the realm of personal financial psychology, this specific number represents a massive psychological threshold. For most of us, it represents the exact amount needed to cover roughly 3 to 6 months of absolute baseline living expenses. So it's not just a mere financial metric or just a random string of zeros sitting in a bank account. It's literally a key that unlocks a completely different mental state. Let's break down exactly how this works.
Section 1. The Invisible Milestone.
It's really fascinating because there's absolutely no alarm bell that rings when you finally hit this number. Nobody hands you a certificate, nobody throws a parade. Instead, this invisible 10K milestone operates entirely in the background. And this brilliantly illustrates a well-documented psychological phenomenon. Hitting $10,000 feels completely different than hitting $5,000 or $8,000 or, honestly, even reaching $15,000 later on down the line. It's like an invisible finish line for the absolute hardest part of the financial race. So for anyone looking to really understand human behavior here, you kind of have to ask yourself, why does this specific milestone hold such unique, disproportionate weight? Well, the answer actually lies in the emotional state we are desperately trying to escape.
Section 2. Escaping financial ruin.
You see, to understand the light, we really have to understand the dark first. Building up those initial savings is an incredibly fragile process. It's a time characterized by intense tension, by a real sense of urgency, and frankly, by fear. So I want you to ask yourself, why does hitting $10,000 feel different than any other number? Put yourself right back in that position. What is the fundamental underlying difference between having $2,000 saved and $10,000 saved? I mean, mathematically, it's just an $8,000 difference, but the psychological distance? It is literally light years. And it all comes down to a single terrifying concept that totally dominates that surviving mindset.
So, the crucial point is this. You are no longer one mistake away from ruin. Before you hit this milestone, there is just this constant, suffocating dread. A blown tire, an unexpected dental bill, or a leaky roof. They aren't just minor inconveniences anymore, right? They represent a total financial collapse. You're basically walking on a tightrope without a net, but hitting that $10,000 mark? That is the exact moment a safety net materializes right beneath your tightrope. The threat of absolute ruin is suddenly completely removed from your daily mental load.
Section 3. Surviving to thriving.
When you finally cross this threshold, it honestly feels like you can just let out a massive deep breath. This is the transition right into a whole new reality. Now, what's really interesting about this transition is that surviving is fundamentally defensive. It eats up all your mental bandwidth because, like we said, you're always one mistake away from ruin. Thriving, on the other hand, is an offensive mindset. It's having the psychological security to start making choices based on what you want to do, rather than what you're terrified might happen. The anxiety of ruin is completely replaced by the confidence of security. You aren't just reacting to life's problems anymore. You are actually prepared for them. It's a total rewiring of how you interact with the world around you.
Understanding this invisible milestone isn't just about money, really. It's about recognizing the incredible power of psychological security. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. As we wrap up, I'd love for you to reflect a bit on your own milestones, both the invisible ones and the visible ones. When you finally escape that feeling of impending ruin, what does your personal transition from surviving to thriving actually look like? What shifts in your own mindset when the pressure is finally off?